Hi, in this video I'm going to show how to do some CSS art, and it's going to be different from other videos on the channel because I'm going to be speaking. That is something that I normally don't do, and I'm going to be explaining what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and things like that. So as you can see, I have a code pen. It's brand new, it's empty, and I'm going to save it before I continue. And I don't know why that does that. I'm going to close the JavaScript, we don't need it. So let's start with this. One thing I like to do is having all the drawing within a container, because that's going to be like the canvas where the CSS art goes. And let's give it an idea of cartoon, for example. And what I normally do is that I make it a square, but it can be a rectangle, it can be anything, to be honest. So I make it a square, and I use a relative unit, and that way, and I'm going to put a background color of a semi-transparent red, something that I do also often. I use the relative unit, so the canvas, you can see, is scalable. It shrinks with the page, it grows with the page. And with that, what we're going to make is that our drawing is going to be scalable too. It's going to be responsive. So that's what we achieve with this. Another thing that I normally do is have prepared a drawing. In this case, I do not know what I'm going to draw. And that would be great for a live session, but not for now. Let's leave it there. So let's just go with the flow and see where we can go. So another thing that I'm going to do, maybe it's not the best way of centering a div or an element. If you want, if somebody asks you, how can you center a div? You can do it in many ways, using flex, using grid. In this case, I'm going to use position absolute, top 50%, left 50%, and then a transform, translate, minus 50%, minus 50%. And that's going to center the div vertically and horizontally. That's a CSS interview question solved there. This is the old way though, so check how to do it with flex and grid. Now that we have that, I'm going to make the square a little bit lighter so I can see it. Another thing that I do sometimes to help guide me is I add a background image that is two linear gradients, and actually repeating a linear gradient that is going to be transparent. Transparent can be written also as 0, 0, 0, 0 until 9.5%, and then it's going to be gray until 10%. Ooh, what have I done wrong? Repeating linear gradient 0, 0, 0, and oh, I need to put a 0 here. That's it. And then I can do the same horizontally to left here. And with this, what I'm getting, as you can see, is a grid. This helps me when I'm drawing, like, I know that this is going to be, if I use percentages, it's going to be 10%, 10%. This is going to be, left 1, 2, 3, 40%, top 10%. So this grid helps me build the drawing and helps me position things in an easier way. So let me put this a little bit lighter so it does. Oh, what have I done? Have I done something wrong? I think I have. Oh, yes. This should be 0 and this should be 0, 0, 2. Yeah. Problems for recording live. Anyway, so let's start with that. Again, as you can see, it's responsive. The grid shrinks and grows with it. Let's try to do, let's see, for example, a face. So let's start creating the base for the face. We could use many different ways. I'm just going to use divs everywhere. To save some time, what I do is that I'm going to say, hey, all the divs inside the cartoon are going to be position absolute. So I don't need to put it everywhere. Also, to make it easier, I'm going to say, hey, if a cartoon, normally I do it like this, has an after, or the cartoon has a before, the content is going to be like that, and the display is going to be block and position absolute. So this way, if an element is going to have a before or after, I just need to add the classes HA or HP, and it will automatically add the content, the display, and the position. And that's going to be helpful. This is not really needed for the drawing, for this particular drawing, but when doing a lot of drawings, it's kind of helpful. So let's use the class, and probably it's better to use classes than any other thing, because if we have more than one CSS art on the same page, you know, if you have the same IDs everywhere, that would be problematic. So let's just do class face, and what we're going to do is that the face is going to be an egg upside down. So what we're going to do is that let's make it, I don't know, like this big. So that would be like around 40–50% width and 60% tall. So let's go 45%, and let's do a height of 60%, and let's put a background of, and that's where we can go with the skin. For example, FCA, it's like a, you know, like a pale type of skin. What we're going to do is that in the cartoon itself, we're going to create variables, and we'll say, hey, the skin is going to be FCA here. And then in the here, we're going to use the custom property or the CSS variable, because if later we want to change the color of the skin, and for example, I don't know, make it like darker, like this, or you know, we want to create an alien and it's green, we can do 3A7, I don't know, alien green, I guess. So this will be really helpful. Like for example, right now we're doing only the face, but when we add the ears, we will want the ears to be also of the color of the skin. So we don't want to be copying the same color over and over. We just assign it to a variable, and then we use it all over the place. So let's put again the pale skin, and let me make it a little bit lighter, because yeah, like this, better. I couldn't see it. So another thing that we're going to do is I'm going to put this left 50%. I'm going to center it within the translate -50% 0. So now it's center, and I'm going to bring it a little bit down. So from the top, it's going to be like, let's say 20%. So you see, it's going to the gray line that was 20%, the second line. So that's good. And now how to do an egg. So you can do a border radius, and then you have rounded corners in the square. But border radius can have many values, and people, not people, but we normally only use like to make the rounded corners, but we can specify 2 values for each corner. One would be the horizontal and the other one would be the vertical. So what we can do is border radius, like for example, if we do 100% here, you see it will be an oval, an ellipse. But if we say, hey, it's 100%, but I want the top part to be more rounded and the bottom part to be like more stretched. So let's put 120 and 120. You see? So now this kind of looks like a face. Like this is the chin, this is the forehead that is a little bit wider. And this is going to be the base of our drawing. So now that we have this, What we can do is, for example, we can start adding things into the face. Like, for example, let's try to make it like a manga looking type of face. Let's say it that way. So let's add, I don't know what, but let's start by adding a mouth. Okay, so let's do div class mouth. Oh. And the mouth in particular, we're going to have the person smiling, so we're going to have what we're going to do is that it's going to be a line, and the line is going to be an ellipse, and we're only going to put the border bottom. So let's do width 80%. In this case, the 80% is not of the whole drawing, it's 80% of the face, because it has that position absolute that we have put here, and the height would be 20% of the face. So we can put a background temporarily here. Let's put a light blue, you see, and border radius 100%. In this case, we want the ellipse. So what we're going to do is, there's many ways. We could use a border bottom 1 pixel solid black, let's say. So you see, we have now a smile, but I'm not a big fan of that. First of all, because if I'm going to be using relative units, I want to use relative units everywhere, and 1 pixel is absolute. So let's not do that. We're using vmin, so let's keep that. So let's say 1 vmin, and now it's going to be a lot. So let's make it a little bit less, 0.5. And another thing that we can do is, instead of using the border button, we can use a box shadow. So we can say, hey, box shadow, let's go 1 vmin down, and it's going to be black. So let's make it 5 vmin down. That's a lot, probably not good. And we're going to reduce it 1 vmin. That way, it's going to be a little bit smaller. And put a semicolon I shouldn't have put. So you see, I did this. It's a little bit too big, so let me make it a little bit smaller. And now, no, this probably should be 15 maybe. Yeah. So let's make it not so up. Yes. So let's do it like that. For this, another option, you see the box shadow, as I didn't put a color, the color is going to be the default from the page that normally is black. So if I want all the lines to be the same color and I don't want them to be black, what I can do is the color or the line color is going to be 222. That is like a really dark gray. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say, hey, the cartoon is going to have a color of line. And you may not notice here, but this should have turned dark gray, and we're going to test it by making it red. See, now it's red. So let's put it back the way it was. And what we're going to do now is position the mouth within the face. So let's say top 70%, left, that's too low, left 50%, and now we're going to do transform, again, translate. In this case, I think you can do only minus 50%, or we could do translate X, sorry. This mouth is way too big and way too low. So let's put it, let's make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, and I don't like how big this is. Okay, and maybe we only do it like that. Not a big fan of this, to be honest, so let's make it like that. A little bit bigger, yes. Let's take this out. We don't need the blue, we know how it's going to look. So we have that already. Another thing that we can do is we can rotate it a little bit. So we already made this side a little bit wider than this side, because one thing I don't like about CSS drawings and CSS art is that it tends to be too oh, I forgot the word. It looks the same both sides, you know. I will remember the word and I will say it later. But I don't like it. I want it to both sides to be slightly different, because if they are the same, if it's symmetrical, that was the word. If it's symmetrical, then it looks fake to me, and I mean, I think to many people. But if we make it non-symmetrical, asymmetrical, then it looks a little bit more realistic and it looks nicer as a drawing. So let's rotate it a little bit, even when we made this a little bit thicker. This is clockwise, so let's put it 5 degrees. It may be too much. You can see I put 25 and you will see how boom, it rotates a lot. So let's make it just 5 for now, so it's not symmetric. And let's put 65 here. That may be too little. 68, that's fine for now. Let's go with it for now. Another thing that we can do for the face is the same thing. We can add a border. Oh, another thing I like to do in here is that I like to do box sizing border box, because that way the borders counts towards the width and it makes it easier to draw. Because we know that the width that we're providing is everything, border and width, not only the content in itself. So one thing that we can do is add a border to the face. Let's say 1 vmin solid, and we don't specify a color, so it's going to be dark gray. That doesn't look that great. Let's put only 0.5. 0.5 is fine. So you can see again, this is responsive. Our drawing is responsive, and again, what we mentioned, all the border being the same makes it look fake to me. So one thing that we can do is like when you draw with a paintbrush, or even with, you know, like a marker or a pencil, the lines are not always the same width. So we could specify different widths for everything. Like we could say, hey, the border bottom width, instead of being 0.5, it's going to be 0.75, I mean. And you see now it's a little bit thicker and it makes it look kind of nicer. So let's make it 1. Let's see what happens. See, now it may be a little too much. So 0.875. Well, 75 was fine. Another thing, too little, 85. Another thing that we can do is like the top. This we're going to cover it with hair later somehow. So what we can do is that the top is going to have a thinner line. Border top width, let's make it 0.25 vmin. That may be too little. Let's make it 0.33. A little bit better. So that way you can see now this looks more like a drawing done with a paintbrush. It doesn't look like something, I mean, put that between quotes. It's not something generated by a computer. It's not symmetrical. The lines are not the same width. It looks nicer that way. So now let's add, what should we add? So let's add nose here. We can do the nose in different ways, like this is kind of looking like a manga character, not really, but we can make it like a semicircle here, or we can make it like this way. We can try to make it realistic with 3 circles. There are many ways of doing it. While we think about it, let's do the ears actually. So for the ears are not going to be part of the face. They're going to be behind the face. So let's put them outside of the face, and they're going to be above the face, so I don't have to play with C indexes and things like that. So let's start with this. This is going to be an ear, and the ear, let's start with that. The ear, let's make it like, if this is the face, it should be like 20-25% tall and maybe 10-15 wide. So let's try that. Let's see how it works. Background we said is going to be the skin color. So this should pop up here. And what we're going to do is that we're only going to make it an ellipse. We're going to do like with the face. We're going to play with different border sizes. So it's like rounder at the top. We could even make it an egg if we want to, like the face. That wouldn't be that bad. And we need to add a border again. Let's add the same border as the face. That was 0.5. So and let's add the border radius, make it 100%, and then this is going to be 50%, 50%, 20%, 120%. Yeah, that kind of looks like an ear, so that's not that bad. And what we're going to do again is we're going to make the top border a little bit thicker. We can do it like we did here by adding, you know, a thicker border, or we could also do it by adding a box shadow, you know, the same way that we did with the mouth. Box shadow minus 0.2, you see, like that. So this is an option. Let's, I don't know if that looks like great. Let's leave it like that for now. So our ear would go around here, as we said, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 40%. Maybe fine. So let's make top 40%. We said yes, and then the left of the ear should be here. There is around 20%. Boom. But this looks weird. So ears normally are a little bit tilted. So let's add another transform and rotate of, in this case, again, remember, positive degrees go clockwise, negative degrees go counterclockwise. So let's add a minus 10 degrees. You see, and that looks a little bit better. Let's try a little bit bigger. Yeah, let's pull it a little bit to the bottom, maybe a little bit here. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a second ear. And now, because both of them have the class ear, one is going to be overlapping the other. So how do we do it? So we could define the ear completely anew, but what we're going to do is that we want the ears to be the same, and what we're going to do is that we're going to select the second one. We know they are siblings, you know, adjacent siblings, so we're going to use the adjacent select, you know, modifier. I forgot the name of that. So this one is going to target this ear in particular. And what we're going to do is that we're going to move it. If this one is left 20%, in this case, what we want it to be is left auto, and we're going to say right 20%. Why do we do that? Because left trumps right. That means that if there's a left value, it doesn't matter what I put in the right value, it will use the left value. It will go with that. And now comes the fun part, and it's this. The transform, there's a transform that is scale X that will help you scale things in, you know, horizontally instead of vertically. And the funny thing is that if you use the value -1, what it does is that it flips it. So now we're flipping it, and then we're rotating it -15 degrees. And there we have it. So you see, now that way we have done both ears. And this is good because now we can play with the ears in the sense that we can add shadows if we want to. We may do that in a little bit. And it will look the same. So if we want, what we can do to not make it symmetrical is, instead of 15, let's make it 17 degrees. It's not as symmetrical as before. And instead of making 20, let's make it 21. You see, now our character, it may look the same, but internally we don't process it the same. So let's continue with the basic things. So maybe those are some big ears actually. We'll see how that goes. Also, playing with the borders is tricky, and and it's a pain, as we're going to see soon probably. So let me see, what do we do next? A simple thing to do next. Let's do, oh, it's not simple, but let's start putting the eyes in here. So div class eye. The eyes are tricky always. And let's make like, it's not anime eyes, but let's try to do something like that. So let's have the eye, and let's make it would say it's a 20% of the face and a height of 20%, so it keeps proportional, and we're going to make them white to begin with. FFF. That may be too little. Actually, I was thinking that I was making it too large, and now I think I'm making it too little. Especially when we add the border radius, they're going to look smaller. And let's add a border of 0.5. I mean, solid, that may be too much, but for now, let's go with it. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to place it top 30%. 30%. Oh goodness, I don't know how to type 30%. And left, not that much, 15%. Yeah, probably it can go there. And now let's make the eye. So let's add a border radius, and let's make it like this should be larger, more rounded, a little bit rounded. So let's try to do it a little bit different. Instead of doing 100%, we could do it like this, you know. But I've been doing all this all the time, and I feel bad about it, that I'm putting 100% here all the time. You see that? Could look kind of okay. Let's make this a little bit more. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I kind of like it. Let's make this a little bit less. A little bit more. Like that. Okay, it's not that fancy, and I don't fully like the fact that it looks like that, but that's okay. Let's leave it like that for now. Also, our guy basically doesn't have any forehead, which is a problem. Let's make the border right with 0.3 rem. No, not rem. Sorry, I mean 33. Okay, a little bit less. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. And for the eye, we're going to do the same thing as with the ears. We're going to create one, and then we're going to duplicate it and flip it. And before we do that, let's complete the eye. So this is just a way of doing the eye. I'm not a big fan of how it's cut here, but it's okay. We'll see how that goes. Let's add a pupil. We could do that actually with before and after if we want to. So let's do one thing. Let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. I don't know if it's going to work fine, but let's see. So let's try eye before, and we're going to say, hey, it has a before, and the before is going to have 5 min height, 5 min, and this is a problem. Background red for now. That's a terrible eye color, but oh, I did something wrong. Let's see, what did I do wrong? It's probably here. eBay content display block. Well, you know what? Another option is position option display block. And probably with height, background red. It looks okay. Well, so let's forget about the before and after. Let's not use that, and let's just do the same thing that we were doing before. Yes, add a pupil here. There's going to be width 5 min. And again, I could start debugging and I probably could find it, but just for sake of the video, let's make it fast. So with the same way, so we're going to make the arrays, let's say we want it to be like a, oh, you see what it messes up, we're using percentages. So let's use light blue 69Z. Let's see if that works. Okay, that's going to be our eye. And we're going to make it a circle. And the eye, we're going to probably add an overflow hidden, so the eye doesn't overflow. Yeah, that's good. Let's make it a little bit larger. 7.7, maybe too much. Well, let's see. Let's add a background image that is going to be the, I don't know why I call it Pupil, because truly this is the iris. Radial Gradient. That is going to be black. No, it's not, let's not make it black. Let's make it, what's the name of it? Bar line, we call it, until 50%. And it's going to be transparent, that we set it 0.000. That's spooky. So let's make it smaller, 30. I kind of don't like that, but let's make it 35. Look kind of spooky, to be honest. And we could use the gradient to do everything, to be honest. I don't know why they, do it black, blue, and then black the borders too. And then what we can do is, let's see, we can add more radial gradients. And this is just, again, I could have done it just adding elements, and instead of that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use radial gradient just to try something different, so it's not everything the same. So let's add another radial gradient, but this time it's going to be a circle at let's say 30%, 30%. That is going to be white, and it's going to be kind of little, actually. Yeah, like that. So what we want to give is some shadow, some brightness to the eye. So we're going to add another one that is going to be 35, 25, and it's going to be a little bit smaller, like 4%. And let's make it 38 here, and maybe 39 actually. Oh goodness, let's make it 40. Yeah, and let's put it a little bit down, 32, 27. Yeah, so they're cutting the black eye, and we are not doing all the same. The same way the pupil, we're going to add a border of 0.25 mean, and it's going to be solid, and the color of it, let's make it 45. 5 may be too much. I don't like 5. 33, maybe better. And now we know it has a position absolute, so let's say left 40%, top 50%. That may be too much. That may be too much. So let's make it 30 and 30. 20 and a little bit lower, 35. Okay. I don't know if I like this, to be honest. But let's see how that goes. Maybe left 18. We could be playing with the transform translate again, but let's leave it like that for now. Another thing that we can do if we want to is add an eyelid, but let's go with the details in a little bit. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the ears to the eye. So we're going to come here, and we're going to create a second eye that is here, and we have I plus I. We're going to do the same thing as before. Left auto, right 15%, transform, translate, translate no, scale x -1. Oh, I'm rusty. So now you see this looks kind of fake. I don't like it, and you can see how Chrome is having trouble painting this. You see, this is a problem that we see, especially in Chrome actually, which is interesting because it's more popular than the other ones. So this looks a little bit fake, and I would prefer it to maybe tilt the eye a little bit this way. So we said that that would be a transform, rotate, a negative like 2 degrees maybe, because it's counter. And you see now it has problems with this eye too. And it's because of the, I've seen this before, and it happens when we're using relative units and you know, relative units and the borders. It doesn't like it. Again, for this we're going to do the same, -3 degrees. So it looks a little bit better, maybe -4. Yeah. Boom. Okay, let's leave it like that, and maybe we could fix it by making even smaller here, and this 10 also. I don't like how that looks though. 15. Well, let's leave it like that for now. Maybe I'm just testing at this point, to be honest. But yeah, it's just a drawing. So again, one thing that we can do is so it's not always the same. Let's add a box shadow to the eye, and when we add things to the eye now, we need to be careful to only look at the left eye, because if we look at the right eye, because it has a scale x of -1, it's flipped. So everything that here we put left in this eye is going to go to the right. So that is a problem. We need to remember that. So let's add a box shadow, a small one, like that. Let's see. Ooh, that may be too much. But you see, like, oof, not a big fan of that. 0. Like that. Okay, a little bit better. So just, it's a little bit better, I think. Not that great, but better. Now, I don't know about this eye. How is this going to affect if I make it 30-30? Whoa, that's funny. It looks like a cartoon. Actually, it's not that bad. This is the good thing about playing with this. If we put them a little bit higher, this wouldn't look that terrible. We could put a fake nose here, and maybe that's what we should do, actually. You know, the only problem is that I don't like that this eye goes on top of that one. So one thing that we can do is say C index of 1 to this one, and a C index of 2 to that one, so that this one goes on top. So another option would be remove a little bit the rotation, and then it's not going to be that great, but you see it's, and now what we can do is put here the nose. I'm not liking it, but I mean it's a possibility. I mean it doesn't look that bad. Even we could add a pseudo element here, a white pseudo element, so the eyes look like they are together, which would be cool too. But let me undo those changes and let me make it small again. Although I'm going to try to make it a little bit larger, even if it's just that. Let's see how it would look. Yeah, let me make it 12 here and 12 here. Okay, I kind of like this a little bit. One thing I don't like, you see, this reflection here has been flipped too, and I don't like that. If this one has the brightness here, you know, the sparkle here, in this side, it should be in this side too, because now this is giving us the, what I was talking earlier about it being symmetric. we want to break that symmetry. So what we're going to do is that in the case of the eye, what we're going to do is that we're going to transform the pupil and we're going to flip it again. Oh, sorry. Just the pupil, not the eye. You see? And now both are here in this side and it looks more natural. Again, more natural for a cartoon. This is just a cartoon. So let's continue. Let's clean. I don't know if this is cleaner or not, but I'm going to put the whole eye in one line. So we have an eye, a mouth, and let's put now the nose. Okay, so for the nose, what we're going to do is kind of like the same thing as before. We're going to add a background of a blue background, and what we're going to do is we're going to give it a width of 20% and a height of 15%. And a border radius of 100%, 50% is enough, I'm guessing, for this. It's almost square, so let me like that. Let's do top 50%, left 50%, transform, translate, minus 50%, 0. And that's too high, so let's make it a little... Let's put it a little bit lower, 60. Okay, so now what we can do is, again, box shadow, 0.5 mean minus 0.5 mean. See, that could be the nose, actually. It's not that bad. And again, because it's not, this breaks the symmetry, which is nice. And also, it's like it has been painted with, starts with a small, then goes thicker, and then narrow again. So that looks nice. Let's see, what can we do? What can we add to our cartoon? We would need to add like the eyebrows, for example. So for the eyebrows, another option is take the eye. Actually, just take the eye, even in the eye. This may be cool, actually. Because we are not using any box shadow. Yes, we are. Cool. So what we do is that we're going to add more box shadows. I'm going to add a box shadow that is red. Okay. And let me make it a little bit bigger, 0.5 min. Okay, so it doesn't affect anything. Maybe 1 min. Let's go for it. Yeah. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make another. There's going to be minus 4 means, and yeah, like that. So here, this can be the color of the skin. And just like that, we have our eyebrows. And again, because we are attaching it to the eye, it applies to both of them. So what we can do is that we move them slightly to the left, and still there's some symmetry here. So what we can do is, don't know if this would look okay. Yeah, no, that's too much. That looks a little bit better, but I don't like how this is too long. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make it a little bit smaller. And when we make it a little bit smaller, maybe what we need to do is put it a little bit higher. And in this case, it's a negative value. So you see, our character has now eyebrows. Another thing that we can do is, let's see, what can we do? What can we do? We need to add hair eventually. We need to add, let's add something small here. Div class neck. So this is a silly thing, but it's a simple thing to do. So let's add the neck and let's put it in the code close to the face, so I can find it later easier. So the neck is going to have a width of at most, let's say 20%. So width of 20%, a height of 25%. The background is going to be, again, the skin. And in this case, let's say top is going to go here, that is 70%, left 50%, and we do the transform translate -50, so it goes into the middle. And in this case, what we're going to do is, what we can do is add, we can add borders, 0.5 mean, solid, and let's remove the border bottom. Okay, we can add a body or something later, and I mean we can cut this a little bit. It's too tall, but anyway. So yeah, so now we have this. I don't like that the forehead is kind of rounded and this is too high. Let's see what happens if we make it a little bit smaller. Our forehead goes a little bit up, but not much. I have made the face too big. Like the elements in the face are too big for that face. But it's okay. It's okay. We're just drawing. We're just trying things. What can we do? So let's see. What can we do? What can we do? So let's pause for a second. Sorry, that was a call I had to pick. So where were we? Oh, yes, so we had done the face and neck. We need to add maybe a body and some hair. Let's do it. The only thing that we need to check is the hair is normally a problem because, especially if you want to avoid the symmetry, it is complicated. And the neck, I don't like the neck, is too straight. We can change it a little bit, and we'll see how. But actually, let's see if we can do add a background image. Oh no, not right now. Let's do it later. So before that, what we're going to do is how do we do the hair? Let's cheat a little. Let's make the character have let's make the character have whatchamacallit, sorry, curly hair. So for the hair, normally you need 2 to 3 hair elements. So what are those elements? One is going to go behind the face, but on top of the ears. That's because normally your hair, goes on top of your ears here, the sideburns, they're going to be here. And then you want something to go on top of the head too, because, it's going to cover this. And sometimes you want to have something behind the ears too, like here in this area, here and here. So those are the 3 main parts. So let's do the hair. Let's do the hair brown. Let's go. And a brown is going to be like we said, 631, for example. And that may be too dark actually. So 963. I don't know, 963 is going to be too orange. Well, let's start by creating the hair that goes on top here. Let's start with that for now. So it goes on top of the face, so it goes below the face, and we're going to call it hair top. We're not really original. It's the hair that goes on the top, so it's the hair top. And the hair top is going to be a circle, and it's going to be like maybe 15% by 15%. Let's try with that. And again, if you notice, this is outside of the face, so it's 15% of this area, so it's going to be like this big, and the background is going to be hair. Okay, now we said we want it to be curly, so we're going to put the radius 50% to make it round. Okay, we're going to it's position absolute, so let's put it in the center of here, top 15% over here. That's too low. 10%. That maybe, let's make it 12. Okay, now transform, translate, minus 50%, 0. Again, we can't just do minus 50%. So with this now, what we can do is we can use a box shadow. Instead of having a lot of hair, what we can do, like a lot of hair options, what we're going to do is that we're going to box shadow this smaller, larger, and we're going to cover this area in general. And then after that, what we can do is use box shadow again to draw some lines below it. So we have this the same way. So let's see how it goes. Also, we could use a filter, the filter drop shadow, and we could say, hey, drop shadow, this is the same as box shadow, but applies to everything within that element. So let's say 0, 0.5 we mean. Yeah, you see? So now that could be convenient. The problem of this approach, and this approach has a problem, and is that drop shadow is not fully supported. So if we use drop shadow, it's going to be more convenient for us, but then less people are going to be able to see the character correctly. So we need to, we need to play with that a little bit. We will see what we can do. For now, I'm going to use filter drop shadow, but most likely later, I'm going to replace it and add even more box shadows instead of this filter. So let's start with the box shadow, and we're going to add a bunch. The good thing is that we can separate them by commas, and that's going to be enough. So let's start with, let's make one smaller that goes here. So it's going to be, I don't know. One problem with the box shadows, and it's okay because I'm basing this in a relative sized canvas. But one problem of the box shadows is that you cannot use percentages, which is a little bit annoying, but you cannot use them. And that's a problem. And the problem comes because, and there's always a because, it would be nice if we could use percentages. We would move it here and there, but we need to use we need to hard code a value, and that's something that I'm not a big fan of, but we're going to do it now. So let's put -1 vmin 0 0. We need to make it smaller. And then what we're going to do with this is that the color is going to be bar hair 2. That way the box shadow is going to have the color by default. But then what I need to do is here specify the line. Tricky, huh? So let's make it it's 4. That may be too little. Too big. So, and what we want is -6, and maybe here on 1 vmin. So see that the hair is taking shape already. That's what we want. So let's do it like that. Now we're going to have another one, maybe a little bit bigger. That is going to be -10 vmin, 0 0 -1 vmin. Let's see how that goes. Let's put it a little bit further away, 14. Too much, too low, but it can work. That doesn't look that bad, actually. It doesn't look that bad. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other direction. So let's do it here. We're going to add another box shadow, but this time it goes to the right. So we're going to do 5 min, 1.5 means 0 minus 1.5 mean. And this, again, if you notice, what we're trying to do is break the symmetry. We do not want our cartoon to be symmetrical. So let's use different sizes. Let's use different things. Let's 175, so it's not exactly the same. You see, I don't like that this looks almost at the same height, so let's make it a little bit higher, like that. So this gains some fashion. So let's go here and let's say 15 vmin, 2.25 vmin, 0 minus 125 vmin. Let's see how that looks. Too much. 14. Okay, perfect. So we have done that. So that's going to be like you know, the top part of the hair. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add some hair in the back that is going to go all the way here. So let's do that. And that's not done in the hair top. That, as we said, it's something that needs to go between the face and the ears. So let's put it here. We can put it on top of the neck anyway. So div class equals hair back. Okay, and we're going to do something like this again. Actually, I'm going to copy this hair back, but you see, instead of applying it here, so right now it's here, instead of having this box shadow, what we're going to say is, let's see, the hair back is going to have its own box shadow. So let's see how we do it. So we know that the original is here, so we want to bring it here and here. Also, we don't want the filter. I don't like, in this case, we don't want the filter to be bottom. We want it to be up, left, and right. So we'll see how we do it. It's going to be a little bit different, but we're going to see. So first, let's start with the box shadows. And let's start with minus 20 bmin and maybe 10 bmin. Okay, there we have it. Boom. And actually the filter, the drop shadow is going to be minus 0.75, it means 0 bar 9. And I'm missing a semicolon here. Okay, that looks a little bit better. We may need to put it on top actually, but it's okay. We will see. I don't remember. Is it comma separated or is space separated, this one, for the filter? Well, what better way than just trying? Okay, it's space separated. Cool. So we need this too. And we need another one that goes up. And the one that goes up, let's make it, let's make it 1 mm. What did I do wrong? Wait, I did something wrong because it's gone. Oh, the semicolon. And this is a minus. That's too much. Okay, a little bit better. So now, actually, again, we'll see how that goes. I'm not a big fan of that, but we're going to add more, so that's fine. So minus 18, and this is going to be 15 probably. Actually, minus 16, and this is going to be 17. Oh, that works. And now we need to put a bunch of this. So this is going to be the fun part. That's too big, but let's put it a little bit up. It's 12. I don't kind of like this yet. And maybe a little bit lower, 18. And again, the hair is something that we can use to break the symmetry, which is something cool. So let's put this one a little bit higher. Okay, now we're talking. So let's put another one here, maybe one small here. that is going to be minus 20 mean, 0, 0, minus 2 mean, and maybe a little bit lower 1 mean here. And again, this is just me doing trial and error. I don't know which values I need or anything. So I'm just going to start creating circles everywhere, and until I get something that I like. You know, no, I need to type the unit correctly. So you see, the good thing about using the drop shadow is that you see the line is not the same. So this is good. I don't like that this may be too thick here, but compared to the rest, so maybe if we make it like that, it's a little bit better. So I like that a little bit better. It's thinner. Good. So let's continue. Minus 2 mean, minus 5 mean, 0 to mean. Okay, so you see our hair is looking nice, and we have the front and then we have the back. So this is pretty cool. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Maybe even a little bit smaller than that. Yeah, like that. And let's make another one. So now we start the positive. So 1 mean, minus 6 mean, 0, 4 mean. That's going to be too big. Yes, it's going to be too big, but it's okay. 5 mean, minus 7 mean, 0 2 mean. And I probably pronounce it butchering the language, and I apologize for that. Actually, I don't like it that big. Now I want it a little bit that way. I don't know if perfect or not, but we'll see. That's 15. 15 minus 5, 0. No need for zeros. That could be okay, couldn't it? And so far, it looks like we're covering everything, which is good. So let's finish it with 1, 2, and maybe 3 more. So let's do 18 mean, 3, 0, minus 1. Okay, and now one that is a little bit larger, 21, 7, a little bit lower. Let's put 9. Yeah, so we will need at least another circle here, maybe 2 more. So let's see how that goes. So let's make, this was the first one, so let's do the opposite one actually, just minus 15. It's going to look more or less the same, and I put a comma that I shouldn't have put. Yeah, that doesn't look good because of that. So let's do one thing. First of all, let's lower this a little. So again, break symmetry, really important. And then let's add a smaller one here. How do we add a small one here? We can do, let's see, so it would be, so if this is 21, this is 15, let's make this one 19, and it's going to be, oh okay, don't worry about that. That's going to be something like 15, 0 minus 2. Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe a little bit smaller. 3, and let's push it a little bit. Maybe not that much. Okay, like that, you see. So now we have the hair, and it doesn't look symmetric, which is nice. I don't know if I created one here by mistake, which is funny, because this doesn't look like a circle, so maybe I did actually. How about if we put this red? I'm curious to see. Okay, it's not that one. Is it this one? You see, that's a tiny one. We are not really applying anything. It's not worth it, but it's fine. It's fine. Let's see what happens if we remove it. It works too. Let's see. There's almost no difference, but I can tell. Let me save this. It didn't repaint, but it's okay. So you see, this looks okay. We could use a bunch of box shadows like this to do the blacks here, but that would be literally a pain in the neck. It would be copying this, making them the line color, and then what we would do is that we will shrink them. Sorry, we would make them slightly larger, and we would put them here. So this would be double the size. With the drop shadow, we don't have that problem. It's super fast. 3 lines, done. Okay. The bad thing, again, drop shadow is not supported on, I think in Safari, and I don't know if Firefox. I think it arrived to Firefox recently, so it should be okay. But our character now has hair. Yay, he has hair. So another thing that we can do now is let's add some. Let's add something. Let's make it a little bit smaller. This thing. Yeah. What can we add? So we should add maybe a body. That would be nice, I guess. The body would be behind the neck. So that would be, again, and we can have, maybe what we can do actually is add some hair here. And for that, we would do the same thing, but again, this time it would be behind the ears. So let's put it at the bottom. Yeah. So let's go, sorry, it was hair and it's behind the neck. So it's behind the neck, but the neck has to be on top of it. That's right. So it's behind. So let's do another thing. We are going to do the same thing as with this. We're going to say, hey, the latest hair, and as I said, we normally are going to need 2 or 3. Is going to be that one. It's the same as that one, so that's fine. We don't see it because it's behind everything. But what we're going to do is that we're going to say, hey, that hair in particular starts here as with the other one. So let's add a new box shadow. And that box shadow is going to be, let's go big or go home. Just to make sure that we can see it. Sorry, this needs to go down. More down. 40. Perfect. And now we can see that we need to do a drop shadow like this actually. For the whole thing, the only thing is that instead of going up, we want it to go down. Boom. Perfect. And we're going to move it a little bit this way. That's too big, but that's something that we can fix easy. And then let's put it a little bit higher. Okay, so now you see that looks nice. And now let's apply the same thing again. -14. Let's put it 38, 0 -2 here. Let's make it 13. I'm not liking how this looks. It looks like a Kirk Cameron type of guy actually, which is weird. But let's see, 42. Uh, 9, maybe too much. Like that. I'm not a big fan of this actually. Yeah. I don't know if I like this hair in the back, to be honest. It looks kind of weird to me. Maybe if I add one on the other side here too, but 10. I don't know, 41. I don't know if I like it, to be honest. I don't know. That for sure no. And I don't like that now it's symmetry. So, you know, let's do one thing. We're going to comment this out for now, and we can play with it later. I almost prefer it like this. It looks nicer. So let's add a body. That would be the last thing to do. And the body would go on top of that hair in the back. So div class equal body. And what we're going to do is we're going to add like something like here, like this. And we will use radial gradients to make it look like he has a t-shirt, something like that. So let's see. Let's start with the body. So for the body, we're going to do the following. We're going to do the background is going to be the skin, we said, and it's going to be really wide, maybe 80% wide. And the height, for now, we're going to add only 40%. Okay. And now the border radius is going to be tricky. Let's try to make it 40. I don't know how that's going to look, but let's position it and then let's see how it looks. So top would be 85%, left 50%. Then we translate. Oh goodness, I don't know how to type anymore. That may be too little. 70, 80. Let's see how that looks. That doesn't look that bad. So let's make it 75 and make it this a little bit lower, like that. And now what we can do is, first of all, let's do one thing. The cartoon, I don't know if I want to overflow this. Oh, I didn't realize. What is that big hair? Let's put an overflow hidden here. But now oh no, it's cutting my hair. So instead of adding the overflow here, the trick is going to be to add the overflow to the HTML body overflow hidden. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to place our character, instead of at the top in the center, we're going to put it at the bottom of the page. And then it's going to remain at the bottom of the page, like that. You see, so that way the body is going to be the one that hides the body of the character. The HTML and the body will be the ones that hide it, because there's not going to be scrolling. So now what do we do? Again, box shadow 0 minus 0.75 mean. Again, that way what we do is that I don't know if I like that. What we do is that it's not the same line width all the time, which is nice. We could achieve this adding a border, but let's just do it like that. A problem of using box shadows also is that when we shrink or we make smaller, sometimes Chrome acts funny and removes them. But anyway, right now our character is naked, which is terrible. So let's do one thing. Let's add a shirt that by default, let's make the shirt white. And what we're going to do is that the body, let me make this bigger. the body is going to be the shirt, and now what we're going to do is that it's going to have a background image that is going to be interesting. So it's going to be a radial gradient that is going to be at the center, but it's going to be like a little bit above, and it's going to be first skin. Let's put 20% and then transparent. Let's see how that goes. This is only temporary. 0, please. Let's put 40. That's too much. 30. That could be okay. Let's make it a circle. Okay, and now I kind of like this. Let's make it a little bit larger. 32. Okay, perfect. And now what we can do is that instead of going transparent directly, what we can do is make it 0, and then sorry, instead of transparent, what we're going to do is we're going to add a line that is going to go 0, 33%, and then transparent, something like that. And to make it even more realistic, let's make it I don't know if I like that, actually. Let's make it a little bit lower, and then 22. Can I do that? That's 27. So if it's 27, this would be 28. Cool. And now that is an option. Actually, that's how it's going to be. And what I want to do is, you see the neck looks really straight. What we're going to do for the neck is we haven't used clip path yet, so let's use clip path to cut a little bit. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use a polygon, and it's going to go from we're going to make it let's see, this, then which one would it be? It would be 0. Okay, and instead of this, let's make this 90, 95. And again, we're breaking symmetry. It's not the same length, so that looks a little bit nicer. So with this, we have our basic cartoon done. It's just a cartoon, and it's too basic, as I was saying. So what we can do is let's add it some shadows and things like that to make it a little bit more complete. So what we can do for that is, let's start with the neck. We're already at the neck. So we are going to add a background image that is going to be a circle, a radial gradient that is going to be really similar to the neck. That is going to be radial gradient, circle at 50%, 20%, no, minus 20%. And it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 2 until 40%, and then transparent. That is like that. Let's see. That may not be enough. Did I do it correctly? Probably not. Let's make it darker in case I'm missing something. And now let's make it lower this. Okay, that's too much. So let's make it 50. That's too little. I need to, that could be okay. So 65, let's see, 65, that may be better. And that's too dark, so we don't want that. We may want to make it like 4 here, and also it's gray. We may want to make it a little bit reddish. So you see, that's a more natural shade. Or shadow. Actually, let's make it a little bit lighter, even lighter. Okay, that could be nice. And let's do one thing. We found a color for the shadow, so let's copy this and make it a variable. Again, all the time, if you're going to reuse values, variables, please. So there we have it. Now, where do we want more shadows? So for example, we may want shadows on the sides of the head. So let's do that. Do we have here? We don't have it, so let's add a box shadow. In this case, it's going to be inside, so let's do inset, and let's say to mean 0 bar shadow. Let's see how that looks. That may be too much, but I kind of like it. And now let's add one on the other side, and again, break symmetry, not the same size all the time. Sorry, 0, the one, okay, like that. So see, and I don't know if we want to add one at the bottom, but I don't fully like how this looks. A little bit better. So that's there. One problem that we have, let's say it that way, is that we have that. Let's do this. So let's add some shadows also to the ears. So let's go to the ear. The ear is actually going to be trickier because let's try to do one thing. The before after didn't work before, but let's try just to do the before here. Content is going to be like that. Let's say with display block, width of 5 min, height of the same. We want it to be a circle, background black. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So we have that. Border. Okay, so we don't want it to have a background, we just want to have a border, and we want to have a border left. I had to think it in my mind, right, left, a little bit wider, border left width. Okay, and now we're going to make it circular, like that. Okay, actually, let's make it even bigger. Now we're going to say top 40%, left 30%. Oh, I need to put position absolute. I was missing that. Okay, that looks a little bit better, but what we can do is the background, actually we can make it the shadow, so that would be like the, not the ear lobe, but yeah, and maybe a little bit lower, 47. I don't like that this one is smaller than this one. Let's make it, how can we do that? Let's make it as we did before, using the plus. So we can say that this one is going to have a left a little bit more than the other one. No, sorry, a little bit less than the other one, so it looks bigger, and this one actually a little bit more. I don't like how big it looks like. Yeah, and now what we can do is also align. We can do that with the, I don't like that, I'm not a big fan of this actually, but I kind of like that it had some different color, but we'll see. Let's see how that works. So let's add also for the after, and we need to copy this obviously, and actually I'm going to copy everything. I'm going to, for now, and I'm going to change it. I don't need this too. And what we need to do is make it larger. So let's make it 15. Actually, instead of this, it's going to be 80%, 80%. This is going to be trickier. So what we want to do is this. The top is only going to be 10%, and maybe even less. Let's see, maybe even less actually, as I said. No, sorry, 10, but the left is the one that we want it to be less. No. Okay, so let's make it 70 here. And now this is just kind of playing a little bit with the values, which is interesting. And in particular, for example, we want the border left color to be the color of the skin, so it doesn't occupy everything. And we want also maybe to be border left. I mean, we have a different width and a different color. So let's do it differently. Instead of doing this, we will have to redefine everything. Bar minus skin here. I don't like how that looks, so makes it. Ooh, that looks bad. What did I do wrong? Oh, I forgot the solid. Okay, good. Like that, and maybe we can make it not so tall. And what we can do is that we're going to tilt it a little bit. Transform, remember, we want to do it counterclockwise because we want to rotate it to the left. So let's -5 degrees. And maybe put it a little bit lower, 13, 15, something like that. You see, now that, to me, that looks maybe too much, but let's add some shadow now. Let's see how it looks with the shadow. So let's do box shadow. This is going to come from the right, so it's going to be inside. From the right, let's do 5 min 0 red. Let's see how it looks for now. That's fine. The only thing that I don't like is that it goes on top of that, but we're going to see shadow, how that looks like. Let's say we want to go down a little bit down. That looks a little bit better actually. So yeah, how about -6? That could do. And that looks okay. I'm not a big fan of that, but that's fine. And let's try, I don't know how that's going to look. Let's see, let's try the hair top. We added a drop shadow like this. Let's see if we add a drop shadow like this too, but it's going to be, instead of line, it's going to be shadow. Yeah, it's going to, looks nice, but you see the problem is this corner, you can tell that is crossing paths, but hey, it doesn't look that bad, to be honest. I kind of like it. We could do something like that for the hair to give it some texture, and we can try actually. The only problem is that that would require a new element, and we can add it anyway. We will add it in a second. It's not a big deal. I don't know if that will work. Let's see. So the hair top, we have this. What happens if I do something like this? 0 -5 min red. Okay, so this could be a problem because you see that black thing there that I don't want. So maybe 4, 3, 4. Oh wait, inset, Alvaro. So let's. Oh, he looks bald. Well, that could do it a little. I kind of like it. It's not super fancy, but it's better than nothing. Let's see, -1 min here. I kind of like it like that, actually. It would be nice if we could do it the same here, and we can probably do it. So let's see what would happen if we do here bar shadow. Yeah, that is a problem. So no, what we need to do is we have to duplicate it. We add one with the shadow so it goes on top because it's semi-transparent. And then the tricky part is that that's not really helpful. So we need to make another one that is not so big. Wait, it's not so big. Sorry, is sorry. I need to make it smaller. Sorry, so I make the number larger. Maybe 0, so it goes up, and actually 0.5. Yeah, that could do it. Maybe I should do something similar here actually. For this one, it's kind of a pain doing this, but I kind of like the results, so I'm going to try see how it looks like. Again, as you can see, a lot of this is trial and error, which is probably what they tell you not to do. Let's see, so this, and I put it higher, and not that high. 2.5, let's see, 2.25. Okay, like that. So now we have our character, and the hair has shadows too. It's starting to look really complete actually. So what else can we do? And we are already at the hour and a half or so mark. I don't know, because I got a phone call mid and I lost track of time. So what we can do is add also, like for example, the shadow to the body. And let's do that. So we have a shadow here. Okay, so we can add an inset shadow that is going to be let's see, and I'm missing a comma here, comma, that's too dark, so let's make it semi-transparent. Again, the shadow, we don't want it black like that. That may be too much, but the idea is there and actually doesn't look that bad. So now we have a character with a lot of shadows here. Is getting some personality with that actually. I kind of like it. One bad thing may be that the the eyebrows are black, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. What can we do again to make it different? So we have the nose here. Let's go to the nose. Where's the nose? Nose. Okay, let's put a background here. Let's see where it is. One thing in red. Now it looks like a clown. What we're going to do is that we're going to make the cheeks look a little bit redder. So let's add something that is going to be below the mouse. Div class cheeks. I hope I wrote it correctly. I don't know if that's the right way, but that's fine. So this thing is going to be around 80%. We want it to go under the eyes, so we actually may want to move them under the eyes to avoid problems. And let's see, so that's going to be the width. We're going to have say height of 20%, and the background is going to be, for now, blue. Border radius is going to be 50, so it's an ellipse. And now that's too big, but what we're going to do is that we're going to center it on the face. Let's see how this looks like. Transform. Like that. Okay, so we want it a little bit lower, 60 maybe. No, that's too much. 55. That looks a little bit better. And instead of this, what we're going to do is that we're going to make it red, and we're going to the nose, we're going to make it the color of the skin, so it goes on top of that. Okay. The cheeks, what we're going to do is that we're going to apply a filter blur of, let's see how this works. See, that's looking kind of better. So we're going to make it that, instead of being red, we're going to make it semi-transparent. Let's make it like that. And I don't know, maybe a little bit smaller this, and a little bit lower. So again, let's see where we're at. You see, So let's something like that. We could add freckles if we want to. We could add something like that. Let's do that while we're at it. Again, now we're just adding little details to the image. So let's do it. The freckles would go on top of everything but the nose. And for the freckles, we're going to do the same thing as oh goodness, as with the hair. We're going to just draw one that is going to be a circle around here, and then we're going to use box shadows to put them around the face. So let's do that. And let's say width, I don't know if this is going to be enough or not. Background red, top 50%. Okay. Make it circular as before. And now what we want is basically, we want it even lower, 60 something, probably 62. And let's put it left 25. Okay, so there's a freckle. Maybe it's too big, so let's make it a little bit smaller. That may be too small. Let's make it a little bit larger. Again, a lot of this is trial and error. And what we can do now is that we're going to say color red. We're going to change this in a second anyway. Box shadow, we're going to say, hey, add one to the right, 0. See, a little bit higher or lower. Let's make it lower. Let's see how it looks like. That's fine. And let's make it a little bit smaller. That may be too small. A little bit better. And now we're going to apply another one that is going to be on the other side, and it's going to be a little bit slower. And I need a comma here, and we have 3 freckles there. Now we need to apply the same logic here. We say, hey, 15 mean 0. Let's make it 17. And then we can apply the same logic that we have here, but instead of, let's make it like that. I don't need that. Ooh, I did something wrong. Oh, because it's instead of minus 19, it's 15. It's 17 minus 2. Okay, so I don't like that this looks so symmetric. Again, I'm not a big fan of that type of thing. So let's make it like that. And now what we need to pick is the freckles. Actually, the shadow may work for that. Let's see if it works. We could add more. We can add as many as we want. Actually, I made add a few more. Let's see. So let's add 1, 3 here. And let's put it only a little bit lower so it goes up actually almost like that. And then we're going to actually, let's make it not so smaller, a little bit smaller than that, but not so small. That's too small, so let's make 175. Okay, and then we're going to push it a little bit more and put it a little bit higher. In this case, let's put it even higher than the original. So we have that there, and now let's try to put 2 more in this corner. So again, we're going to copy this. One is going to be 21, the other one is going to be like 13.5, so it's not symmetric. And let's change the heights. Let's make this like that and this like that. So where does this go? Here. So this goes here, and this is way too small, so let's make it like that. And I hope, I don't know, I don't like this one here, so I'm just going to remove it like that. That's fine. So that's going to be our character. I don't know what else to add, so I think I'm going to end the drawing. So to end the drawing, what we're going to do is We're going to remove the grid. We don't need the grid anymore. So we're going to go to our cartoon at the top, and we're going to remove the background image and the background color. We don't need that. And there we have our character. So now the next thing that we can do, and we're going to do, is, as I mentioned in a talk that we did for the Sydney CSS meetup, what we're going to do is make it a little bit accessible. So what we're going to do is that we're going to say, hey, this is an image, and we're going to say the description for this image. Description, oh, that doesn't look good. Is going to be area labeled by the description. Maybe it should be area described by, and it's going to be cartoon of a young man with curly hair. Okay, and what we do is that we say, hey, the description is going to be hidden in an accessible way. So what we're going to do is that we're going to say, hey, width of 1 pixel, height of another pixel, overflow hidden, and to be honest, with that should be more than enough. So, but anyway, what we're going to say is position absolute, and we're going to move it outside of the screen, minus 200 VW, and that should be enough for what we want. So that way, if a screen reader gets to our image, it will identify it as an, our CSS art will be identified as an image, and it will describe it as a cartoon of a young man with curly hair. And that's our drawing. Thank you very much. Bye.